is Histories and Mysteries. I'm one of your hosts, Ashley, and this is
Jessica. And on today's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about the Wendigo, or Wendigo, however you like to say it. And I am going to be talking about Skinwalkers and the Skinwalker Ranch.
This is our creature feature episode.
Woo! Creatures for the future.
All right, so I got my information from a couple different places. KnowledgeNuts.com.
Sorry, that was a very ugly laugh.
GodsandMonsters.com, LegendsOfAmerica.com. All That's Interesting. And
yeah! Oh, sorry.
you love them.
I didn't even use them. I don't think I used them this time.
Oh, you love... Well, that's okay. I got you covered.
Yeah. Oh.
And then I got a really good article from the Vancouver Observer.
Ooh.
Yeah, because a lot of this takes place in Canada.
I didn't even know that. That's so crazy.
Yeah, because they are creatures that stay in they like the cold and the north and the woods. So that's basically what, like all of Canada, right?
That makes me so excited.
We do have them in the United States, like up in the north, like mountainous areas and in the forest. But I have 2 stories here, and they're both from Canada.
Yay! I'm so pumped. I'm also sleep deprived. None of you know.
Yeah, we're recording this in the morning, and poor Jessica works night shift, so she has not even gone to bed yet.
I had a 2-hour nap, Mom.
I woke up from sleeping. I took Benadryl last night, so I slept real good.
Oh, I just started taking I took Reactin yesterday because I felt like I was dying, and I felt great. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I got that new kitten, and I'm allergic to cats and dogs, which I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. So every once in a while, my allergies just like tip that point, and I'm like, all right, I got to take something.
I feel that.
All right. So during the winter of 1878, Swift Runner, a member of the Cree tribe of the Native Canadians, is that what you guys call it? Because we call them like Native Americans. Are your guys Native Canadians?
I have never heard it like that. We always call them Native Americans or First Nations, or we have Aboriginals. So,
okay, well, yeah, because I guess you guys are North Americans, so you're a part of North America.
Yeah,
that was stupid. I'm gonna take that out.
Leave it in. You know how many people were on my case about buck for your dollar or dollar for your buck? And then they're like, oh yeah. And then Ashley just knew right away. And I'm like, she looked it up.
Look it up?
You did. You Googled it, you silly goose.
I did not.
Yes.
Oh goodness. Okay, I'll leave it in. Yes, I forgot that like it's North America and South America, so yeah, they would be Native Americans. All right, so the Cree tribe of Native America, but located in Canada, took his wife, 6 children, his mother-in-law, and his brother out into the forest. And I couldn't figure out why they all went to the forest. I don't know if it was just like an old-timey thing that you did, like at a certain point you go out into the woods to like scavenge or forest. I'm not really sure because this was back in 1878. But he did lose his job, so he worked for the police. I think he did some like scouting work or something. He worked for the police, but he lost his job because he ended up with severe alcoholism. And so bad that he got kicked out of his tribe. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it has to be really bad to get kicked out of your tribe. So I think he was kind of alone. Like, they didn't really have a lot of options. So they went out into the forest, and several months after winter had ended and spring began to appear, Runner came staggering out of the woods into a Catholic missionary, or Catholic mission. And the police thought he looked distressed because here's this man just like staggering out of the woods, and asked him what's wrong. And it was a small area, so like they knew who he was and they knew he had a family. So like, well, where's your family? And he said that one by one they had starved to death in the forest, and he was the only one left. Yeah. But like he looked fine. Like, he didn't look emaciated or anything like that. So the priests were like, okay.
Did he eat them?
Well, hold on.
Sorry. Okay,
So I
you can take
have
that
in here, the truth was a much more sinister story.
out. I'm just getting you back for all the times you've done that to me.
I have done it too. I get so excited. I'm like, oh, did they do this? And you're like, shut
Shut up, Ashley. Okay.
So after some really weird behavior from Runner, like he just wasn't acting himself. He was acting kind of weird. And he tried to take a bunch of children into the forest. So after that, the priests were like, all right, what's going on? We're calling the police. So they call the police, and the police had Runner take them to his campsite in the forest. And once there, they found something that they would never forget.
What did they find?
So this gets kind of graphic. So for everybody, if you're a little squeamish, there were bones everywhere. Some were snapped in half and hollowed out, which means that someone had to snap them and suck the marrow out. And they found a whole pot filled with human fat.
Ew.
And they question him, and they're like, what the hell is all this shit?
Mhm.
And he said that a Wendigo had taken him over, that it started out as dreams, and then it was really intrusive thoughts until he could no longer act of his own accord, and he murdered and ate his family.
What in the world?
He said the Wendigo that was in him forced one of his sons to kill and butcher his other son.
Oh.
And then it hung his infant son and tugged on his feet until he suffocated.
Oh.
And he did the same thing to his brother and his mother-in-law. And he said, quote, his mother-in-law was a bit tough.
Oh my goodness.
So, needless to say, the Canadian courts convicted him and sentenced him to hang in 1879.
Okay.
And he was actually the first man to be legally hanged in Alberta, Canada.
Oh.
So, let's talk about a Wendigo. What is it? Its name translates roughly to the evil spirit that devours man.
Okay.
And there is a really famous description of a Wendigo by Basil Johnston, who is a professor of this kind of legend. And so I'm just going to read exactly the description that they have because it's perfect.
Okay.
The Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation. Its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skin. Its complexion, the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets. The Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton, recently disturbed from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Its body was unclean and suffering from pus-like sores of the flesh, giving off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Blech.
And so with the Wendigo, there's like several different versions of a Wendigo. And so some describe it like that. And some have it being a lot more animalistic with pointed ears and antlers. And if you look up a Wendigo, most of the pictures you find will have them with these huge moose-like antlers. But they all say that they have a really bad odor, bad breath, and pointy teeth. So, like, they're really working it.
You're really making me want to eat. I'm so hungry, but like, I don't want to eat anymore.
Yeah, they're not pretty. So some say that it is a flesh and blood monster, that walks around, and some say it's a spirit that can take over humans. So as in the Swift Runner case, it possessed him.
Yeah.
But it is always generally associated with cannibalism, greed, and murder. So it's kind of like the way one article described it is it's like a Native American warning against greed and fear against starvation, because that was so prevalent back in the day, especially up in those kind of desolate areas. So, some legends say that a Wendigo is created every time a human turns to cannibalism. So, thanks for that, Jeffrey Dahmer. Other legends say that someone who is extremely greedy, gluttonous, just kind of out for themselves, may be possessed by a Wendigo. Looking at you, Donald Trump.
I was just about to say that. Oh no.
Oh. So there's different ways. Again, like I said, some believe that, Wendigos are flesh and blood and are created by a human turning to cannibalism. But I know there are tribes that still practice cannibalism, like really remote tribes. I want to say in Africa, could be in South America, I'm not sure. So if that's the case, then there's still a lot of Wendigos being made. And some say that it's just the spirit that possesses people when they act this way.
So like a mental illness. And then
Well, funny you should say that because
sorry.
No, you're fine. I didn't put it in my story, but because it's just like a whole nother topic, but there is a psychosis called the Wendigo psychosis.
Oh.
Yeah, and they believe that it's like people who turn to cannibalism, this what they call it, the Wendigo psychosis.
Look at me go.
Look at you could be a psychologist.
Oh, I totally could be. Just don't want to go to school for the degree.
Okay, so some legends say it's extremely fast and can walk for long periods of time. And can walk like on deep snow or on water and not sink, which would be helpful for, the places it lives.
Yeah.
But then some legends say it walks as if it's like falling apart. So like really slow and haggard.
Yeah.
That's the Wendigo I like to picture because it's creepier.
Yeah. I want a Wendigo that can't. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my butt. It's uncomfortable in this closet. I would really like to see a Wendigo that can't walk and glide over snow and water and is just struggling in the snow and face planting everywhere. Because sometimes snow's deep and sometimes you just face plant.
That would be pretty funny.
Oh my
It's
God.
like this really scary thing, just face planting it.
Or like on the ice and just slipping everywhere.
I like the visual you're giving me.
Right? My brain does weird things on sleep deprivation, so. Oh, cheapers. Okay.
So the Wendigo has the ability to mimic human voices really well.
Gross.
With incredible accuracy. And it's said to lure people into the woods by using that talent.
Yeah.
To eat them.
Sorry.
So, sorry. Or it, like I said, will possess and infest a mind until they hunger for human flesh as well. Yeah. The thought behind the Wendigo is that it wants to eat humans, and it will do so for its whole life. That's its like whole purpose in living until there are no more, and then it just starves to death.
Yeah.
And some anthropologists believe that the legend of the Wendigo becomes more prevalent in hard times, such as like those hard winters where people are starving to death, because it's kind of like the fear of not knowing what you might do when you're sitting on your deathbed. You look at the whole Donner Party and what they had to do to survive, which if you haven't heard of them, I'm probably going to do a story on them. It's pretty fascinating. They were a group of people that were heading out west and got hit with a really bad storm and ended up having to turn to cannibalism to survive.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's like one of those, I think, again, kind of like a story of, what would you do? When you're
do the that same episode, you should do the one where they were that soccer team in the mountains, like the Andes.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'll just do a cannibalism episode.
Yeah. My history prof, my history teacher, when I was in high school, he had us watch that video, and I was on my exchange in France at the time, and so I'm like curled up in my room in Bordeaux, and I'm like trying to find a good copy of this video to watch, and then I watch it, and I'm like, what did I watch? I think it's called like Alive or something, but it was like I did not know what I was going into, and then to like watch that, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is not what I anticipated, but okay.
I know, it's just crazy to think about, like, I would like to think, that I wouldn't eat a fellow human,
Hmm.
but it's like when you're at that last, death's door and that's all you have,
Yeah,
would you do it?
that's the thing. It's like you have that one little option to keep you pushing forward. Like, what do you do in that instance, right? So,
Yeah. Like, I mean, I definitely don't think I would kill someone and eat them, but, like, if
no,
they had died, would I do it? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I don't. I'd like. Uh, I'd like to say no, but at the same time,
Yeah.
like you never know when you're unless you're in one of those
Right. Like, if
situations,
you're gonna
right?
die
Yeah,
and that's the only way you have to live and they're dead already, I don't know.
yeah.
Anyway.
Tangent. We'll talk about it on the cannibalism episode.
Yeah.
um, maybe I'll do Jeffrey Dahmer that episode.
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect.
So during these starvation periods, when things were getting really bad, some tribes would conduct a ceremonial dance to ward off Wendigos or to kind of reinforce the seriousness of, you know, not eating each other because it would create a Wendigo. So they would wear masks and dance backwards around a drum. And there is a name for it. It's really long. It's a native name, and I cannot say it, so I didn't even put it in here. So let's talk about a more recent story of this Wendigo and cannibalism. This
Lay
one
it on me.
this one also gets pretty graphic. Um you may have heard of it. It's happened in 2008 on July 30th. A young man named Vince Lee and Timothy McLean were taking a Greyhound bus from Edmonton to Winnipeg.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, I vow never to take
Yes.
another Greyhound ever, ever, ever again.
I've
Ever.
never heard of this story, and I don't know if it's more prevalent in Canada than it is in America, or if I just haven't heard of it.
Oh, there was like two incidents. There was like, I think the incident that you're talking about, and then another one where the dude decapitated another person on the bus.
Ugh, poor
Yeah.
Greyhound. That's some bad publicity.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, continue.
So they were traveling on the Trans Canada Highway. They didn't know each other, they just happened to be seatmates. And a little while into their trip, something in Vince snapped. And he jumped on Timothy and started attacking him with a knife.
Yep.
He stabbed him 50 times.
Yep.
First in his seat, and then Timothy was laying on the floor of the bus and he continued to stab him. Obviously, the driver and the other passengers fled the bus, but they did barricade Vince in the bus until law enforcement could arrive.
Good.
And while waiting for the police, the bus driver, a passenger, and a bystander that had been driving by and saw what was happening tried to enter the bus armed with a tire iron. And when they got on there, they found Vince decapitating and gutting the 22-year-old Timothy.
Gross.
Yeah. Vince sees the three enter the bus and he charges them with his knife in hand. So they obviously retreat off the bus. And Vince tries to drive away, but the bus driver is able to disable the engine. I guess there's some kind of button towards the back of the bus that they can do from the outside. So he couldn't get off. And so that obviously made Vince mad.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I think that it was the same incident.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was just looking it up.
Okay. So after this, Vince calmly walks to the door of the bus where the three are standing outside watching him. He's got Timothy's head in his hands and just drops it while staring down the three would-be interferers.
Gross.
So the police arrive a few minutes later, which results in a 4-hour standoff. During this standoff while on the bus, Vince starts to cut off pieces of Timothy and eat him right there on the bus, raw.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you want to cook it?
Right? Okay, that's where I got hung up too. Like, eating a person is disgusting, but like
Yeah.
also you're just like eating them raw. On a side note, this makes me so mad. Jessica, have you heard of the Westboro Baptist Church?
Yep.
Yeah, so they tried to protest Timothy's funeral, saying that he died due to Canadian policies on abortion, homosexuality, and adultery.
What in the world?
First of all, Westboro is American. Just keep your crap in America. Like, don't bring your shit to Canada.
No, we don't need you. We
No.
don't need that. We don't need the drama from America.
Well, and apparently when some of the officials got word of this, they shut down their borders to a lot of the Westboro Baptist Church, but some still got through.
Good.
But thankfully, people of the area formed a barrier around the family so that they didn't have to hear the protesters.
Good.
Yeah.
Like, why did they even like find the need to insert themselves in that? That seems ridiculous.
I don't know. I'll probably do a whole story on the Westboro Baptist Church too, because they're something else.
I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, I keep picking new stories as we're going.
I'm like, guess I need to write this shit down. Ashley's not gonna.
I'm definitely not gonna. So during the trial, Vince spoke very little, just kind of nodded. But he did mouth at the end, "Please kill me." Which is the same thing a man who claimed to be possessed by a Wendigo in 1896 said to his family. And just 10 days before this brutal murder, Vince had read an extensive interview in the paper about the Wendigo and how it could take possession of a human to eat flesh, and the story of the man saying, "Please kill me," in 1896.
Gross.
Obviously, he went to trial and his defense was mental illness. He did get convicted and put in a mental illness hospital, where he has since been released back out into society because they said he's perfectly fine now.
Of course they did.
But the family was like, well, as long as he takes his medicine, but if he stops taking his medicine, like, we know what he's capable of.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So they did say that he had the Wendigo psychosis, or was he just possessed by a Wendigo?
Ooh.
I don't know. So if you ever hear a voice calling to you from the woods, think twice before you follow it, or you might be having a weird meal later.
Ooh.
And that's the story of the Wendigo.
Woohoo! It was so good.
Sorry it wasn't super long. There's just not like a ton of information, because it's just kind of like, hey, this is a Wendigo and this is what he looks like and this is what he does. So
yeah, and Sam and Dean killed one in Supernatural, so
they did, and he called it a Wendigo, but I don't like how that sounds. So
no, I like Wendigo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to be talking about the history of the Skinwalkers and about Skinwalker Ranch. I also want to preface this by saying that when this episode gets released on Sunday, so today when our episode is released, there's going to be a new series being released on the History Channel. It's called Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. So I think it's fun that our episode's coming out the same day that that's coming out. I think it's just awesome because it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating.
Maybe the History Channel can plug our podcast.
Ooh, that'd be nice. But they're like doing a dig there at the ranch, which is really cool. So I used a few sources. I used Legends of America.
Ooh, that's what I used too.
I used the Navajo Skinwalkers, and then also Legends of America Skinwalker Ranch. And then I used history.com, ironically. And I only got like one bullet point from the ATWWD podcast, but I figured I should still mention it. So
yeah.
Okay, so the history of the Skinwalkers. In the Navajo culture, it is said that a Skinwalker is a harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is cool.
So they're kind of like an Animorph. Do you remember those?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I had books.
Oh, I loved them.
No, like skimming through the pages, and on the bottom right corner, you'd like see them turning into the animal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had those books growing up.
Did you ever watch the series? There's a series that's like one season.
I don't. If I did, I blocked it out because it was so bad.
You know what? I really liked it. But I really like a lot of series that they end up canceling. That's just kind of like my curse. But it had
so good.
It had Shawn Ashmore in it.
Oh, I don't think I watched it then.
Okay.
So it is called in their culture. I'm gonna butcher this, but I put it in here anyways. So Yi Nald Lushi,
Oh.
which translates to with it, he goes on all fours. And it is the
Oh.
most volatile of Navajo witches. In their culture, witches exist alongside their people and it is part of their spiritual lives. They are not considered supernaturals and they are not ostracized, normal
That's
witches.
awesome.
Yeah, which is wonderful because why do we need to be ostracized for our beliefs?
Exactly.
So, medicine men used their powers to heal and aid those that are wounded or ill. I put hill because why not? However, those that are skinwalkers wish to harness the spirits to do harm to others. The knowledge of these powers is passed down from elders through each generation. To quote, the Navajo are part of a larger culture area that also includes the Pueblo people, Apache, Hopi, Ute, and other groups that also have their own versions of the skinwalker, but each includes a malevolent witch capable of transforming itself into an animal.
So they have like good witch, like normal everyday witches, and then if they're a skinwalker, they're practicing like dark magic.
Yeah, exactly. So they
Okay.
have like the nice witches that like want to heal people and help people, and then you have the skinwalkers which just want to hurt people.
Gotcha. Okay.
So among these various tribes, there are many different stories about how a skinwalker comes to be. The most common story is that these witches evolved from being respected healers and spirit guides and then decided to use their powers for evil. So they usually start as good and then they just want more and
Corrupt.
exactly. So
Gotcha.
um although
And
they
that's, I
can be
think, just human nature, right? Like there's these neutral things like witchcraft, and
yeah,
it's just whether you are a good or a bad person.
exactly. And it's just you see the power that you have over other people and you want to see what else you can do.
Right.
Although they can both be Although they can be both gender, the skinwalker is typically a male. They are human during the day and at night they transform. Very
Interesting.
fascinating.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
definitely picturing a woman.
Yeah, exactly. So, uh, fascinating fact though, they need to actually be initiated by a secret society in order to become a skinwalker.
Oh, so there's like a whole skinwalker society.
Yeah. This
Oh.
initiation involved killing a close family member, likely a sibling.
Oh no.
Yeah, so there's a lot of parallels between the Wendigo and the Skinwalker, but just not cannibalism.
They don't eat them, they just kill them.
Exactly. They wear the pelt or skin of the animal that they want to transform into. Thus, it wasn't common for the members of the tribe, like the non Skinwalker members, to wear animal skins of any predatory animal, as this is what the Skinwalkers would transform into.
What animal would you pick?
Um, I'd probably pick like a wolf
Ooh.
or a bear, but
Can you
probably
pick like an
a wolf.
exotic animal? Like I'd pick a panther.
I don't think so. Because I mean, you need to have their pelt, right? So
Well, I'm gonna take a trip to Africa and get a panther pelt.
I don't think that they could do that back then.
Yeah, I'd probably pick like a bear then.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I read elsewhere that like you usually finish as a wolf, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
Like you might do different stages, but like you start off as something small and you work up to something big, and I think your final form is a wolf or something. But
Gotcha. Okay.
I could be very wrong. I did these notes like 3 weeks ago, so
You're on top of things. I finished mine yesterday.
yeah. I have my next episode recorded. Like next episode is researched as well, and I think my next one as well. Oh, I have too much non-existent time on my hands. So they were also able to take possession of humans if they locked eyes with them and were able to control what they said and did. So, have you seen Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
So this kind of reminds me of that alien breed where they can just like look at somebody and then they transform into them.
Yeah, okay.
So Blah, blah, blah. But they can like possess these humans and stuff, which is kind of cool. And they were able to
So
control.
instead of like transforming into them, they possess them.
Yeah, and they were able to control what they said and did, which is so they'd be like kill somebody, and then they would do that.
Gotcha.
The way they could be differentiated from real animals was if a light was shone on their eyes, they would glow red.
Ooh.
Alternatively, when they were human, their eyes would look like animals.
Oh.
Yeah. These skinwalkers would meet in caves or secluded areas and JK, and took place in cannibalism, necrophilia, incest, and grave robberies.
Oh, so they did do cannibalism.
Sure
Popular
did.
topic today.
Oh, no. Ugh. They would only have paint and beatings on their bodies during these rituals, and the leader of the skinwalkers was an older member who had been doing this for a very long time. These skinwalkers could also read minds, control thoughts and behavior, as mentioned previously. They could also destroy property. And they can also control animals and reanimate corpses by calling on spirits.
Ew.
So, good old necromancy as well.
I like the controlling animals part. That's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to animals. That'd be pretty badass.
That'd be
But I
pretty
don't think I
great.
want to dabble in necromancy or eat
No.
people.
No, or necrophilia.
Yeah.
It is said when they are near, they make sounds around the home, such as knocking on windows, banging on walls, making scraping noises, and some have even been spying through windows and appearing in front of vehicles in hopes of causing an accident.
Oh.
Due to all of these things, the tribe rarely ventured out alone for fear of these skinwalkers. They are said to be faster than cars, are able to jump great heights, they're very agile, and leave prints that are bigger than any animal.
Oh, wow.
The skinwalkers and other witches were often blamed for unexpected occurrences such as weather, crops dying, etc. The new land that they traveled to was horrible and their numbers depleted greatly, many turning to shapeshifting to escape their terrible lives, while others believed their gods had abandoned them, and this was around 1864.
Oh.
After 4 years, the U.S. government admitted they had made a mistake and allowed the Navajo to return their land. So
Oh, good.
they were basically forced out of their land. The land that they were forced to was terrible. People were getting so sick. Their numbers were depleting. People were blaming everybody else. Bunch of people
Yeah.
turned to skinwalkers. Like,
Yeah,
and then,
American history isn't so nice to natives,
no.
unfortunately.
I mean, at least they admitted they had made a mistake, but it was a
Yeah.
little too late. It was 4 years later. So,
Yeah.
So they were able to return back to their land, which led to the Navajo Witch Purge of 1878, which was due
Oh.
to many moving across and onto their lands, leading to the Navajo being expelled from their land. So a
Oh.
lot of like new US people were like pioneers, I guess,
Yeah.
were moving on to this Navajo land and like forcing them out. So
Yeah, that's pretty typical of what happened to Native Americans here in America, unfortunately.
So, to quote, accusations of witchcraft and the hunting of the skinwalkers began when someone found a collection of witch artifacts wrapped in a copy of the Treaty of 1868. The tribal members unleashed deadly consequences. The Navajo Witch Purge, which occurred in 1878, in which 40 Navajo suspected witches were killed in order to restore harmony and balance for the tribe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nowadays, however, the skinwalkers are known to be more trickster than harmful. Most often, people report seeing an animal running alongside their car and then disappearing, or turning into a man mid-run and then banging on their roof.
Oh.
And I know I've read a few posts about this, like animal type dog running next to vehicles and people are bored on road trips.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was on Reddit or something, or even on Facebook, but people were like, has anybody else seen this? And so
I mean, if they're just kind of like tricksters now, that sounds like a pretty cool gig. Like you get to turn into an animal, just like play around with people and then be human again.
Yeah, sounds dope.
Yeah.
Another story was when a man was working on an older home. He heard loud laughter coming from his sheep pens. Thinking he was alone, he went to investigate and found all of his sheep except one huddled in a corner.
Oh.
The lone sheep was standing upright and laughing.
Oh, that's creepy.
When he locked eyes, he noticed the sheep's eyes were not animal-like, and then the sheep went onto all fours and walked away nonchalantly.
Like, I'm done here. Goodbye.
Yeah. Kay just came to laugh at your sheep, and now I'm peacing out.
Poor little sheep, just terrified. Like, what the hell is wrong with Frank today?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Um, a more notable occurrence happened in the 1980s when a family was driving through the Navajo reservation in Utah. They turned a corner and something jumped out of the ditch. A few days after this event, they were woken to loud drumming and chanting outside of their home, which was in Arizona, so that's a 9-hour drive.
That's me. I'm in
Yeah,
Arizona.
I know.
We have a pretty large reservation here.
Yeah, I know. I think I've been there actually.
Have you?
I was horseback riding in the desert, and
Ooh,
we were told we couldn't go too far because then we'd be on their land and we didn't have permission. So,
gotcha.
yeah.
Fun fact, I have never been horse riding. I've always wanted to go, and I've never been.
Oh, it's fun. I haven't been
Yeah.
in years because I had an accident, but
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, I've ridden a horse once. Like, they came to an elementary school and had it, like, they were, like, holding its, like, um,
Ow.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to say leash because I'm used to a dog, but I know that's not what it's called.
The
And we
rain.
just, like, rode it in a circle.
That's so funny.
But that's about the extent I've ever ridden a horse.
I'm seeing if I can find that photo for you from my accident. That's pretty gnarly. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm going to send it to you on Facebook.
Okay.
And then we can keep on moving. So they heard this drumming.
God, what happened to you?
I had a horseback riding accident. The horse
Oh.
put me into a wall, and then I fell off, and then it dragged me because I wouldn't let go of the reins. And then my friend yelled at me to let go, and I somehow let go, and then yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So I blacked out. I had a really bad concussion. I couldn't sleep laying down for a while, and I had to miss some school. And I got exempt from a bunch of my exams because I wasn't allowed to use my brain because of
Nice.
the concussion. And I have 2 chipped teeth. I still have the scar inside my lip where my tooth went.
Oh,
My
gosh.
tooth bit. And I still have a bump on my head from it's just like a very small bump now from the goose egg, but
Oh,
because the
gosh.
visor snapped on the helmet. So, yeah.
Oh, that sounds awful.
I've been on a horse since. It was just terrifying,
I bet.
but I did it. Anyway, so they were in Utah. They were back home in Arizona, 9 hours away. They were hearing loud drumming and chanting outside of their home. When they looked outside, they discovered 3 dark shadows of men, quote unquote, outside of their fence, who then left when they were unable to climb said fence.
Oh.
Yeah. In the 1990s, the Sherman Ranch, or what is now most commonly known as the Skinwalker Ranch, has become a hotbed for paranormal activity in the Ute tribe region of Utah. It is believed that the Navajo put a curse on the Ute tribe for perceived wrongdoings, and since then the Skinwalkers have been a bother to the Ute people.
Oh.
And I'm really sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but it's UTE. It looks like Ute to me. So,
Your guess is as good as mine.
yeah. So, if it's Oot, I'm sorry. The Skinwalkers are also very hard to kill and typically are only able to be killed by the help of a powerful shaman, and the bullets must be dipped in white ash and the bullet must hit them in the head or neck.
Oh.
The Navajo will also not talk about the Skinwalkers to outsiders for fear of what may happen to them if they do.
Oh.
Quote, "These are not things that need or should be discussed by outsiders at all. I'm sorry if that seems unfair, but that's how our culture survives." And that
Wow.
was Dr. Adrienne Keene, Native American academic, writer, and activist, who said that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about it.
Yeah. So, now I'm going to go on to Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay.
So it is a 480-acre ranch located in northeast Utah and goes by the names of the Sherman Ranch, the UFO Ranch, and of course, Skinwalker Ranch.
Wow.
It's been a hotspot for UFO and alien sightings, cattle mutilation, crop circles, and of course, skinwalkers.
Ugh.
Before the Ute moved to the nearby reservation, they fought alongside the Navajo against a common enemy. However, once the Ute acquired horses from the Spanish, they started abducting Navajo tribe members and selling them into slavery in New Mexico.
Oh, that's not good.
No. The Ute also joined in the military campaign to have the Navajo expelled from their lands, which is called the Long Walk of the Navajo, as mentioned earlier, where they were all basically like told to peace out.
Yeah.
After these transgressions, the skinwalkers began to torment the Ute people. They do not believe the skinwalkers live on the ranch, but that they hide out in a nearby canyon. The first family to inhabit the ranch was the Myers family in 1905, and the family stayed on the ranch until 1987,
Oh, wow.
which is a long time considering.
Yeah.
During their time on the ranch, they encountered nothing strange. However, it is reported their neighbors did. Numerous UFO sightings were reported occurring in the Uinta Basin in the 1950s and even as far back as the 1700s, where explorers noticed flying craft in the sky over their campfires.
Oh.
Quote, the UFO reports numbered in the hundreds, including strange fireballs and aircraft that ranged in size from 20 to 30 feet across to as large as the size of a football field.
Wow.
Yeah. They were described variously as round, oval, cigar shaped, and triangular. Some were surrounded by a glowing green light, others emitted wavy red beams, and others appeared to shoot colored lights from their underbellies.
Oh.
By the 1970s, the Utah Highway Patrol was getting so many UFO calls that the troopers stopped filling out incident reports.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's like, what point is that too much?
Yeah.
At the same time, local ranchers also began to report bizarre cattle mutilations. End quote.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's just
Poor
like a
baby
lot.
cows.
I know. There's just so much going on.
Yeah. And so much
One,
unexplained that the police are probably like, what are we supposed to do?
well, that's the thing. It's like we go out there and there's nothing there. Like it's just too much. So it's like,
Yeah.
what's the point anymore?
Yeah.
Once the Myers family sold the farm, um, and vacated the farm in 1987, it stood vacant for 7 years before it was purchased by the Sherman family. This is so creepy. They they noticed that the previous family had placed deadbolts on all the doors and windows,
Oh.
including the doors inside the house.
Oh.
Yeah. There were
So they clearly knew something was going on too.
Yeah, which is so funny that earlier it said that like the family didn't experience anything. So it's like obviously they did because like there's
Yeah.
a ton of stuff here.
Yeah.
There were also iron stakes and heavy chains also installed at either end of the house. It was assumed that these things were in place for large guard dogs. The day the Sherman family moved in, they noticed a large coyote or wolf making its way to their livestock. Terry Sherman, the father, went after it once it grabbed a calf by the nose and started to drag it away.
Oh,
Yes,
poor baby.
I know. He shot the animal, who seemed unbothered by the shot, and
Oh,
after a few more shots, it left. There was no blood and no signs of injury on the animal.
wow.
Yeah. Another incident, Gwen Sherman, the mother, was in her car one day when she encountered a large wolf whose back was the same height as the top of her car window.
Oh.
Yeah. Over the years, the Sherman family, along with their neighbors, kept seeing animals not native to their region and large beasts that they said resembled Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Oh.
The Sherman family and their neighbors also saw numerous lights in the sky and flying objects. There was more than a dozen in one evening.
Wow.
In that same evening, 7 cows were either missing or found dead/mutilated.
Aw. Leave the cows alone.
This is a little graphic. The mutilated cows had either a hole or puncture to either one of their eyes or their rectums.
Oh,
There was a
had to go for the butts.
I know. There was a strong chemical odor present, and there was, again, no blood. Quote, for a long time, we wondered what we were seeing, if it was something to do with a top secret project. I don't know really what to think about it, unquote,
Wow.
from Terry Sherman, who was the dad. Quote, other strange events were also happening during these years. Pastures would unexplainably light up at night. The sounds of heavy machinery could be heard that seemed to be operating under the earth. Poltergeist types of activities were occurring, such as items disappearing only to reappear at later times, and strange disembodied voices, often speaking in unfamiliar language, were heard from above. Crop circles of flattened grass were found on the ranch, unquote.
Oh.
So, to reiterate above, they were hearing voices above their heads. They were seeing faces in the windows and mirrors, apparitions of shadow men at the end of their bed.
No, thank you.
Yeah, like, no thanks, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Family members were having nightmares, and there were smells of decomposition. Like, no thanks.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'll
find another ranch, thank you.
Honestly, like, I don't think I can handle that for too much.
No, there's no way. You'd go insane.
Yeah, exactly. So the final straw came one night when Terry saw a blue orb in the sky and urged his 3 dogs to go after it. Sorry, everybody. Last he heard was 3 yelps, and when he went to go find them, he found 3 gooey lumps of flesh and scorched spots, and the 3 dogs were never seen again.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Poor
It's
puppies.
horrible. I know. 2 years after these horrible happenings, the family finally spoke out about it. The Sherman family were planning on selling the property, but before they could, a millionaire named Robert Bigelow bought the property. He was a believer. He was a believer in UFOlogy or ufology. I don't know how to say that. And he was also the founder of the National Institute of Discovery Science.
Oh.
Bigelow.
I was gonna say, I feel like they could sell that one to like someone out there is really interested, you know?
Guess how much they sold the house for? To a millionaire.
1.5.
Bigelow bought the property for $200,000.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, I figure probably at that point they just wanted to get rid of it.
It bugs me though.
Yeah.
Millionaire, give me more money.
Yeah, for sure.
And this $200,000 was conditional on the Sherman family not speaking anymore about the events that happened on the ranch.
That's weird.
He wanted to do his own experiments and investigations. So once Bigelow was owner of the property, he established it as a compound and installed very high-tech sensing equipment. He had field investigators, scientists, and security detail who roamed the property 24 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like armed guards. The investigators were to collect evidence, interview witnesses, and search for explanations for this location. On the night of March 12th, 1997, a biochemist working on the ranch saw a very large creature spying on them from a tree. Gross.
Yeah.
He stated, quote, the large creature that lay motionless, almost casually in the tree. The only indication of the beast's presence was the penetrating yellow light of the unblinking eyes as they stared fixedly back into the light, unquote.
That is creepy. Like, you know, when a cat's eyes hits the light, right? And it's yellow. That's always so creepy, let alone having like a huge creature in the tree.
Yeah. So Keller fired at the creature and it ran away. He said, quote, it was then that I saw it, a single obvious oval track about 6 inches in diameter embedded deeply in the patch of snow. It looked unusual. a single large print in the snow with 2 sharp claws protruding from the rear of the mark going a couple of inches deeper. It
Oh.
almost looked like a bird of prey, maybe a raptor print, but huge, and from the depth of the print from a very heavy creature. So, unlike the Wendigo, they can't glide over snow. End unquote,
Oh.
sorry. Despite this, they were never able to obtain concrete physical evidence, and with little apparent success, the National Institute of Discovery Science was disbanded in 2004.
Oh.
It is rumored that the ranch was then sold to another company for $4 million, which makes me irritated that the family that could have used the money only got $200,000. But
Right, but the millionaire got another This is not how it always goes, though. Like, the little guy gets shit on, and the millionaire just gets richer.
yeah, exactly. It's so ridiculous, but I digress. The ranch is now gated and locked, and it prevents anyone from coming onto the property. And that is my story on Skinwalker Ranch.
That was awesome. You know, my problem with that, like, I believe in, like, extraterrestrials. Like, space is too big for it to just be us. And I don't necessarily not believe that they don't, like, haven't visited, but, like, why would they keep coming back to the same spot? And the same spot is Utah. Like, I
Yeah.
know Utah has really, really pretty areas for sure. But, like, don't you think they would? I mean, there's, like, Iceland and, you know, the forests and rainforests and, you know, all these beautiful places, and they just keep coming back to Utah?
I just think that it's because of the dark magic that was going on there, because it
Oh,
was
that could
so
be maybe.
prevalent
Oh,
in that specific area. So I think
yeah,
that's why. But that's my only explanation. It's
that's
just because
interesting.
that opens up so many different portals, right? And so many different dark facets. So
Yeah, and that's interesting. Maybe it was something that they were, like, trying to investigate or drawn to. Like, what are
yeah.
these humans doing?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like if you play with the Ouija board or you try and contact a spirit, like you're opening a portal, right? And these people are bringing things back from the dead and
Yeah.
controlling.
Speaking of a Ouija board, so there was this really cute Halloween decoration that I wanted to get. It's like a little serving tray, and it had, like, candles on it, and the tray part inside was painted like a Ouija board. And then I remembered my story about the demon, and I was like, you know what? I would place, like, decorations in there, and just knowing my luck, I'd somehow accidentally open something up.
Yeah,
So I'm just not gonna get that one.
probably a good
But
idea.
it's really cute.
Yeah, I know they look really cute, some of them. So
I think it was at Target if anybody wants it. It's really cute.
nice. I wish we had Target.
You guys don't have Target in Canada?
We did, and then it got taken away from us.
Oh,
Like
no.
everything else that's good.
I love Target.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to do our social, or do you want me to?
Sure. So if you would like more of us lovely ladies, or if you want to chat, or if you want to send us any stories of creepy things that you have, we would love to read them. We haven't gotten any yet, but as soon as we get a couple, we might do like a listener stories episode, like, and that's why we drink does, because those are always kind of fun.
Mhm.
So if you would like to email us, our email is histories and spelled out and mysteries 515@gmail.com. We are on Twitter. We are
Not on
histories.
Twitter.
No, not Twitter.
Instagram.
We're on Instagram. Technically, we did make a Twitter, but we never use it.
You have Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we made a Twitter.
no, I don't use Twitter.
I don't either. We're on Instagram. We are histories and mysteries. And we are on Facebook, Histories ampersand Mysteries. So shoot us a comment, shoot us a story, whatever you want. We would love some interaction. We have seen that we have some listeners all around the world now, which is really exciting.
So fun.
Yeah, and that's it. We hope you enjoyed our show. We look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Have a good week.
Bye!
Bye.